Hello, and welcome to the summer semester. My name is Stephen Bell. I will be your instructor for this terrorism class, CJC-160, Terrorism and Underlying Issues. Before we get too far into it, let me just grab the book and make sure we're all on the same page, almost literally. This is the textbook that we'll be using. If you have any other edition, make sure you get the correct edition. It is the 6th edition. If you have a different year's edition, you may have some challenges finding the right questions if we reference pages and things like that. There are slight differences in each year. Again, my name is Stephen Bell. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am in Los Angeles, so probably about as far away as any other instructor that you'll have, but that's only temporary. So sometime during this semester, I will be moving to Smithfield and being on campus. So just in the meantime, bear in mind as I give you my contact information, as you look at the syllabus and see all the ways to contact me, just bear in mind that we have a couple hours difference for the first few weeks of this semester. The reason that I'm relocating now is because for the last 22 years, I've been with the Los Angeles Police Department, and I'm retiring and relocating to North Carolina, and will be teaching full-time at Johnston Community College. So an exciting change. I'm looking forward to it, and everybody in this class will get a chance to experience it with me as I make the move during this class. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as my background, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice. I have a master's in criminal justice and public administration, and I'm currently a doctoral candidate. My PhD is scheduled to be completed in the fall semester. So I'm looking forward to that as well. A lot of changes in my life. So I know what it's like to be a student and have a lot going on outside of school, work, family, things like that. So with that being said, if you have challenges or anything that comes up in the semester, please keep me in the loop. Contact me, let me know. We can work through these challenges together. What we can't do is when you contact me afterwards, when tests are 2, 3, 4 weeks late, and you say, hey, I need a chance to make these up, and you weren't in contact before, it makes it very difficult. So if you foresee challenges coming, contact me sooner than later so we can work through them together. This is a short semester, so it's going to be heavy in reading. We're condensing 16 weeks into 10 weeks. So a lot of our weeks are going to double up on chapters, double up on assignments, things like that. So just know going into this is going to be quite a workload. It's doable, but I don't want to surprise you as we go through it. Take a look at the syllabus, take a look at the schedule. You'll be able to see the weeks in Blackboard and know exactly what you're getting into. I have every confidence that you'll be able to do it, but I also want you to go in with eyes wide open. That being said, let me touch on a few housekeeping issues that I'd like to make you aware of as we go in. First, we're going to have discussion board posts in every week. Those discussion board posts are going to consist of an initial post, which is due on Monday every week. So even this week, which is starts on a Monday, your post is due on Monday. Your replies, minimum of 2 replies to your classmates, are due on Fridays. The post initially has to have at least 300 words, and then your replies have to be at least 150 words each. And that's, when I say 150 words or 300 words, that's content. That doesn't count your references, titles, and such. Same thing with your papers. If I say we have a 4-page paper due, that's 4 pages of content, not your title page, your abstract, your reference page. Those things don't count. It's the actual content is the minimum required amount. Also, in addition to your discussion board posts, we're also going to have exams just about every week. So the exams will comport with the chapters as we go through. So many weeks, if we have 2 chapters that we're covering, then you have 2 exams. Make sure you keep up on those. Going back to your papers and your discussion board posts, I want to talk about references. References are crucial in academic writing, and that's what we're here for. We're here to learn academic writing or practice academic writing. So, for instance, if you're going to make a 300-word post and I say the minimum required references in a discussion board post is 2, then there are 2 parts of those 2 references that are required. First is the reference page, or in a discussion board post, you don't need literally a different page. You can just put references at the bottom and list them. So your references are going to be in APA format, and there's a very specific way that those references are listed. And I post a link to the APA format in the Getting Started folder, so make sure you check that out. But there is a very specific way in which the locations, the books, the journals, the websites are listed and formatted in that reference page. But in addition to the reference page, every reference requires an in-text citation. So if you say in your discussion board post that Stephen Bell said that 2 references are mandatory, at the end of that sentence, you would have to put some sort of parenthetical in-text citation referencing that was part of the reference at the bottom. So if you list Bell in the references, you need to put Bell in the in-text citations. And we're going to go over that a little bit later as the semester goes through. I may even put out additional references and materials for you to review so you can do your own research. But just bear in mind that when there are 2 references that are mandatory, at least 2, then there are 2 halves of each reference that are mandatory, the in-text citation and the reference list at the bottom. Why do we use references? What is the point? So it's to show that you have done your research. So if you're making a claim that everybody knows, then you don't need to make a reference for that. You don't need an in-text citation for that. If you're saying the sky is blue, we all know the sky is blue. But if you say something along the lines of certain demographics are overrepresented in the criminal justice system, if you are making an assertion that not everybody knows, then you need to show where you got that information. It can't come from out of the blue. So you have to have read it someplace. So if you read it in an article that is authored by Smith, then you would say, this demographic is overrepresented in the criminal justice system, parenthesis, Smith, 2020, or whatever year. And then at the bottom, you would put a reference of exactly the article that Smith said that in, or the article, the website, the book, where you got that. So those are, again, the 2 halves of a reference, as well as why we use it. A good example. Again, if it's something that we all know, you don't need to cite it. But if it's something that you're making a claim on, where'd you read that? Going forward, as far as where to find the references, to me, one of the greatest locations for finding materials to support an argument that I want to make is Google Scholar. If you're not familiar with Google Scholar, literally just Google Scholar or Google Scholar, or write Scholar into the Google bar, and it'll bring up a separate Google page that only houses journal articles and such. You can type in any subject. It'll bring up all kinds of articles, all kinds of journals, books, and you can review those books to help you make your argument. Then it will also help you format your citations. If you look at the quotation mark box at the bottom, you click on that, it'll allow you to copy the citation. Just compare it to what you research as a proper format, because sometimes they're not exactly perfect, but it's a good start. So remember that, Google Scholar. The other thing is the school library. If you look up in the school online library, you can find the same thing, lots of journals, lots of articles, lots of books, and it will also help you format your citations. So that way you're not using academically poor sources like Wikipedia or just random web pages. You're actually using academic sources, which bolsters your argument and makes your paper that much better, which includes your discussion board post. If you make an assertion or make a claim or take material out of a book that you don't cite, that's plagiarism. That's academic dishonesty. If you do that, if you take something out of a book, if you quote something, you have to put quotation marks, you have to show an in-text citation, and you have to reference that material. Otherwise, it looks like you're trying to steal that material. Even if you put a reference at the bottom, if you don't put quotation marks at the top, if you don't put a parenthesis at the end saying where this originated, it looks like you're taking that credit for that material. And that's plagiarism, which is going to result in pretty severe penalties in this class. If you are caught plagiarizing and not citing somebody else's work, you'll receive a 0 for that assignment. And then it just goes downhill from there. The first time is a 0 for the assignment. Eventually, it could be a 0 for the week, a 0 for the class, or even removed from the class. So don't even get into that trap. If you're using somebody else's material, just put a citation. Bear in mind that I want your discussion board posts to be mostly your original thought, and then the ideas that you are arguing, I want you to bolster those with somebody else's citation to show that argument. But most of it, I want it to be your original thought. So don't go and cut and paste 3, 4, 5 paragraphs and then put quotation marks around it and a citation and think that that's going to be an acceptable post. You still need your original ideas. Another way to make your papers and your discussion board posts have less errors and more readable, more academically sound is software called Grammarly. I highly recommend that you download Grammarly. It's Grammerly. I'll put a post, an announcement that mentions that. It's free software for the basic level. If you want to buy the higher levels, which give you more and more corrections, more and more, it makes your writing sound more academic and things like that. It proofreads for you. The basic level will proofread for you and find your errors. It will give you suggestions on how to better your writing. It's a great tool. And like I said, it's free. I highly recommend it. With the use of Grammarly and proofreading, there's really no excuse to have typos or misspellings in your paper. So with that in mind, that's why I grade so harshly, because these software types are available. The rubric is available also in the Getting Started page, or excuse me, the Getting Started folder. That is going to tell you exactly what I'm looking for when I grade a paper. So if you are wondering, hey, how do I get a perfect paper? How do I get a perfect score on a discussion board post? The rubric will literally tell you. I grade by the rubric. If it says, you need to have this many posts and this many responses and this length, this is the word count, this is how thorough I want it to be. It's a cheat sheet on exactly how to get 100 on every assignment. So use the rubric. Before you submit a paper, take a look at the rubric and compare your submission to the rubric. Is there anything in there that you can add that would give you points? It's right in there. It's super easy for you to get a good score as long as you reference that rubric. The discussion board posts are what is called post first. So you're not allowed to see anybody else's submissions until you write your own. What I've experienced in the past, I'll share with you. What I don't want to see again is a short post just to access everybody else's so that you can read them. So if you put an asterisk, submit, and then 2 hours later you submit your real post, that tells me that you were just bypassing that system. You posted anything just to be able to read other people's stuff. So if you do that, I will consider that cheating and you'll get a 0 for the assignment. It hasn't happened that often, but I don't want to see it happen again because I don't particularly care for academic dishonesty, and I really hold you guys to a high standard. So please don't do that. Make sure that if you have any questions about the APA formats or the Grammarly software that I referenced, or any of the mandatory 2 references or the word count, if you have any questions like that, reach out to me. This is just a few of the things that I wanted to make you aware of. I look forward to answering any questions that you have and going through this journey with you. One last thing that I will mention is late assignments. I told you that if you have any issues, reach out to me in advance. And I mean that. Because if you just submit an assignment that is late, and that includes submitting a discussion board post after Monday, the initial post, or a test after it's due, or a paper after it's due, there's always going to be a 10% penalty for late submissions. If you reach out to me before and say you've got some challenges, we can discuss that. We can mitigate the penalty. Don't go to the well too often. I don't mean call me every week and say you're always going to have another challenge. But if something comes up in life, believe me, I know I've had a lot go on while I'm in school. I know that life does get in the way. So please call me as soon as possible so that you don't submit the papers late and then tell me. Again, I'm looking forward to this semester. I think it's going to be an exciting one. Terrorism is an intriguing topic. If you have any questions, reach out and we will talk soon.